Good morning. It is Saturday and we have a lot of work to do today. We're starting out by working in the yard. Janelle's dad lent us his rototiller for today, so we're going to have to rototill our garden, and we're working on the compost right now. Charity is helping to watch little girls so that the boys can work really hard, and the girls are playing. Peter and I are working on the compost right now. In case if you're wondering where Janelle is, she's going to Price Chopper and she's going by herself to make it really quick. There's a slight change of plans because Lillian woke up. We decided to all go. I figured Janelle and Charity will go shopping while the kids and I go to the bank. And I figure by the time I'm done taking kids out of the van and getting them into the bank and all that stuff, we'll probably be done around the same time. And also, Mary took off her dress and put on her swimsuit. So I had to quick throw a dress in the van, and we're going to put her dress on over her swimsuit so that she looks presentable at the bank, because you can't really have a girl going in her swimsuit into the bank. There's Mary with her swimsuit, and John is helping her get dressed. I know that probably seems kind of weird to most of you, but when you have 7 kids, things like this happen all the time.
You can kind of tell there's a swimsuit under there.
Yeah,
and
that's the way it is.
There's always, Daddy always said, there's always one.
You always need one that looks funny.
Yeah, and about like over there around the corner, there's Price Chopper where Mommy is. Now let's go in.
We're done with the bank and we just came back to Price Chopper, and look at that. There they are. Perfect timing.
Hello.
Hello. Let's see what they got.
I got paid to buy pork neck bones. I paid us like 8
Pork
cents.
what bones?
Pork neck bones. They're outstanding for tomato sauce. So I come out and Art says to me, what happened with the bags? Now I always bring my 31 bags for grocery shopping, but I had one of the baggers do it and I didn't catch her in time to tell her, you can fill these bags up as full as possible and it will hold every ounce of weight. And so she did the classic 8 items, oh, you don't want to break the bag type of thing. And so I have all these other plastic bags and
look at this.
A bag for OxyClean. They could have shoved it in here, it was fine. So I think I have to train my baggers that 31 holds up a lot better than most bags. That's the bottle return place we went to a couple weeks ago, and that place is packed. People are flying in there with bottles. They must do really well there. Maybe it's because they don't like. It's because they don't like the machines.
I think that, and I think they take all the cans from every different store around here, so you don't have to go to several stores to return them.
And you're getting cold hard cash, not money to use at that store. We had a great time at Price Chopper. I spent $39.70 and I saved over $50. Some of the best deals were the chicken wings, which were just a little over $1 a pound, which is a steal for chicken wings. Usually it's $2.99 a pound. So we're making those for lunch. But these pork neck bones were marked down. And these here were $1.92, and they had a $2 markdown sticker. So they paid me 8 cents to buy pork neck bones. These pork neck bones are excellent for making tomato sauce. If you do it in a slow cooker, it really flavors it really well. The other thing that was a really great deal is this sparkling grape juice. This was 99 cents, so I bought 4 of those. I am keeping them until Thanksgiving because that's when I use these. But I thought it was too good of a deal to pass up. And I know I'm trying to be really careful about too good of deals, so passing up, because too good of deals is what happened to my house. But we definitely use this for Thanksgiving. And I just picked up the standard stuff. Potatoes were, 5 pounds of potatoes were 69 cents. Yellow peppers were $1.99 a pound. And what else did I get, Art? Milk was $1.49 a gallon.
We got down to the really good compost, and that is going to go to the rhubarb. People always ask us how our rhubarb looks so nice this time of the year, and that's because of good compost. Really about the only thing we do to our rhubarb to make it look so nice is compost. That's it. They really like the chicken manure compost. Charity is picking some rhubarb. I think she's going to make some rhubarb cake for tomorrow.
Dad, look, that was a big bubble.
There's one. Art is working on the compost pile. We had a lot of leaves this year in our leaf pile, and we just did not have enough time to pay attention to our compost pile. So they didn't compost like they were supposed to. And when you're doing compost, you really need to have an equal, not an equal part, but you need to have a mixture of green and brown compost, nitrogen and carbon. So what we're doing is we're trying to reactivate our pile because our pile is stone cold, it's not doing anything. And one of the ways we do that is by mixing the stuff up, adding more oxygen into the pile. That's the first way. You also need to have a lot of water, moisture in your pile to get that to activate. And then the last thing you need, you've got your carbon, you've got your water, you need your nitrogen. And for nitrogen, I am actually going to be using bone meal. Some of our chicken manure will act as some of that nitrogen, but there's more leaves than chicken manure. So what we're doing is just layering it. Show them, go ahead Peter, show them what we're doing. So we took the first pile and we layered it with the leaves and the chicken manure. Then we added some water to the inside of the pile along with some of this bone meal right here. And Art's working on another layer here, and then I'm going to do the same thing. More water, more bone meal, and then the leaves. And we're going to do that until that reaches the top of these pallets. Once that's done, we're going to start working on our second pile over here, and we'll see how far we can get with this. In a perfect environment, we would be turning this pile every 2 to 3 weeks. The reality is it's probably not going to happen. But if we were to do that, we could get this to compost down really fastly and have some good soil to use this summer in our garden. Okay, this compost pile looks so much better. And we're going to add some more bone meal, sprinkling it all over. That looks good. And you guys can do this. This is not magic.
The nice thing about compost is you can't really mess it up because, I mean, it's rotten stuff. I mean, you can't really mess it up.
Okay, and we're adding the water to help moisten everything and activate it all. You might have all the right ingredients for making a good compost pile, but if you're lacking water, your pile will not do anything. And that's another reason why this didn't activate, is it was bone dry. We did not have a lot of rain. You remember that, Art? We didn't have a lot of rain in the fall, and so this pile just didn't get wet. And the other thing is where we have our pile located, if you guys can see, this is under some brush and trees here, and that also keeps it from getting as wet as it could when it gets a little bit of rain.
Another thing, when you do it, if your pile is like heaping, the water rolls off, but if you make your pile more concave like that, the water will go in and go down. But we didn't do that. We heaped it.
You can see how it was heaped, and now it's gone down a little bit, but it's not enough. And in a perfect world, Art, do you want to tell them how we actually designed this pile system?
Okay. It's pretty easy. We just have pallets. There's a pallet. We put some pallets back behind there. So it's basically just like pallets on the back and then pallets like this. You take one pile. Well, actually, usually we use this stuff. Other than it was kind of bad.
Right. This is usually the done pile.
So yep, we use this. Put it off into the garden or wherever. Take this, just flip it to the next one, and then just keep flipping. I think we have 4 of them.
Right. So in a perfect world, we have the first pile here, which is going to be where we're going to put our current compost. It's going to go there. And then in a couple weeks, we flip it to the next one. And then a couple weeks after that, we flip it to the next one. And usually by the time we get to the 4th pile over here, this should be totally composted, or at least composted enough to be usable. But because we had such an overwhelming amount of compost this past fall, that didn't happen. And so nothing got composted, and we just are left with 4 pretty dry, inactive piles. And today we're just trying to get that taken care of, get it active again so we can start using this for the garden. And sometimes when you're doing your compost, you find some really interesting things. And here's one of them. Identify that. That is the plastic insert for a baseball cap.
It got composted.
And look at almost everything got composted except the...
You know which one that was?
I don't know which one that was. Have no idea. But it got composted. Underneath all those leaves, Art found some nice soil.
Yeah, this is going in the garden.
Yep, we're going to throw that in, till that in. It's not 100%, but it's pretty good. It's going to continue breaking down throughout the summer in the soil, and the tiller will help with that too. That looks real nice, Art.
Yeah, we're going to have some good compost real soon. You recognize this? That is a wicker chair.
Oh, that's the end of it?
That's the end of our wicker chair.
We composted that. The cherry tree has really outdone itself.
Look at that.
Those are gorgeous, gorgeous, all the way up. If they turn into cherries, we're gonna have cherries this year. And the peach tree's doing really well too.
While I'm doing the compost, Janelle is working on planting our canna lily bulbs. And we're also going to put some compost around our blueberry bushes. And that's a blueberry. It's doing okay, not too great.
Has a flower, but that's it. But this one has
one
never
flower
flowered
right
yet.
there.
And this one here lost, you can see these were the flower buds.
Oh yeah.
And because of the frost, that cold snap, they just didn't make it. So,
maybe it'll just put its energy into growing this year.
Which is really odd because usually the peaches are far more sensitive than the blueberries, and the blueberries are next to the warm house, so I don't know why that happened, but that is what's happened. So I'm hoping this year all the compost will really feed the blueberries, and the blueberries will grow big, and then next year, like the peach tree, we'll have a lot of blueberries.
That would be nice. The boys are over here working on planting some more canna lily bulbs.
We finally finished the compost. That took what, 2 hours, Art?
Yes.
It took a while, but it was a mess, and it's far more tidy.
It looks a lot better now. It was to the point where I was starting to feel bad for the neighbors. This is a pile we're going to start adding our stuff to right there, and it's a lot lower than the other piles. We still need to take care of all these sticks and boards and things like that. It's not a job for today. That will be probably next week. Now it's time to start up the rototiller and rototill the garden.
Daddy is now rototilling the garden. I think he's doing a good job at it.
Art finished rototilling the entire garden, and so the next step is for me to make my rows or paths or whatever I'm going to do with the garden, and that's what I'm starting to do here. I try to make the paths so we don't crush any of the fresh rototilled stuff. It's really important to not crush the soil when you're trying to grow plants, because you get a lot better success rate when your plants are in the soil is nice and loose. And so I'm kind of picky about who steps in the garden after it's rototilled, and it just kind of falls onto me to make my rows. And once I make my rows, the kids can walk on the rows as much as they want. They just can't walk in the spots that I'm going to plant, and that's along the lines of a raised bed or raised beds, because in a raised bed you're not supposed to step in it again, because you don't want to compact the dirt. Same kind of principle, except I don't have the raised beds in here, so I just kind of make them by hand with my dirt rake and a little bit of muscle.
I'm done rototilling, and Janelle is making the little raised bed things. I don't know what you call them exactly. Rows. Janelle's going to go wash off the rototiller, and I'm going to finish up the rows in here. And look at that. There's nothing quite like freshly rototilled dirt, or I should call it soil.
You know, the only thing that is bad is you always have to time out enough time to rototill and do these rows, because once these rows it rains or compacts, it's a bear to have to make rows afterwards. So that's why we're having to do it today.
Right. And we also need to fix our gate.
Yes. That's another day.
Not today.
Art is almost done doing the garden, and he's made our little plots. And last year somebody commented that they look like little graves.
That was me.
Was that you, Art?
Yes, they look like big graves.
Yeah, for really tall people. Now, this is just how we make our garden beds. And we have leftover garlic that managed to escape my attention last year, and it didn't get dug up. So we're going to leave that there. And then we have wide plots here, and that will be for pumpkins and squash. We've got just rows. I think we've counted, what, 9, Art? 9 on the ends. And then we have room to grow stuff in the back there. I have my comfrey and garlic chives. Another row all along the back, which will probably again be pumpkins and squash, things that can go outside the garden. And then we have our more rows there. That row here that doesn't look tilled, that's where we planted our lettuce and our spinach earlier this week. We have one kale plant. We have our peas right here, and then this again is another wide row for more squash and things like that. And then we have our rhubarb, which we finally got the mulch around, and it looks pretty good. And while Art was doing this, I hosed off the rototiller so we can return that. And we have just a little over an hour before we have to leave. We're having a get-together lunch thing with a family friend and the rest of our family over at my brother and sister-in-law's house. And we need to go and deliver the rototiller back to my parents before we go there. So it's been an insanely busy day, even though we're just at the house, catching up on some of those things that needed to be done outside. And there's still a ton that could be done, but we're gonna be happy with what we got done, right, Art?
That's right. We at least got the garden and the compost done.
Yeah, and that's progress, and that's the muscles, because Art and I were both saying how flabby we feel after a winter, and we don't think we felt this bad after Mary and Grace or Lydia, but the more kids we've had, the more it slowed us down, and to the point where you could say we're almost dormant, right?
Pretty close to it.
Yeah, it's not good, but it's summertime, and we're hopefully going to regain our shape again. Does anybody know what kind of plant this is? In the woods behind our house, there's this plant, and this has those type of flowers. They don't look like they're open yet, but I don't ever recall seeing this plant here, and there's actually quite a few of them over there. So if you guys know what that is, can you let me know? The boys and I planted our canna lilies back along the side of the house there, and then we filled this in with compost around the blueberry bushes, and hopefully they'll grow bigger this year. Those onions thrive there. We are on our way to Grandma and Grandpa's to drop off the rototiller. It's on the trailer, and we got out a little bit later than we wanted to. But yes, we're going to Papa's house, and then we'll go from there over to my brother's house. But it was kind of crazy there because we had to wash the rototiller off, then load it and strap it down because we didn't want to lose it. I don't think Grandpa would appreciate it if we lost his rototiller on the way to his house. And then we had to eat dinner before we left. So just really super crazy. But what day isn't crazy with our family?
Every day is crazy.
Yes, every day is crazy.
We're bringing the rototiller back to Grandma's and Grandpa's house. And we have to hurry because we're running a little late for the party.
Well, this is really nice.
Get it in? We're at the party, and we're not going to get any videos at the party, so I think we're just going to say good night right now, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you tomorrow.